Hi, I'm Patrick van der Meer, Visualcoach, and this is a video about Blazor. So what's Blazor? Well, Blazor is just an awesome way to make websites with your C# skills. So you don't need to know too much about JavaScript. Of course, you need some HTML and maybe some CCC, scripting language for the layouts. Also, not really my thing, but you need something. It's a bit like the Razor. Remember, Razor was something else. That's MVC with some C# in the HTML, but it's different. This is just separate C# files that you can use into your HTML. All right, so let's start up. Type Blazor, get a new project. The template is installed with 2019 Visual Studio 2018, and we're gonna do a awesome Blazor website. All right. Now, of course, we're not going to do hours of this. So this is just a solution. And we're going to get started. Now, you get another window. And in that window, you need to tell what you really want. Well, I want a server app, not the WebAssembly. WebAssembly runs on the machine of the user. I like to have a server, and the server gives just web pages so the user doesn't know anything. .NET 5, and I like to have authentication added as well, so I don't have to worry about that too much. And then just create. Well, this is a template just much like we had already with MVC and ASP.NET. So you will see a lot of things that you recognize. Happy, happy, happy. Right, here is my Visual Studio 2019. Here is my one project that has everything in it, and that's a little thing, right? You want to have things split out. We have dependency injection. We have all these areas and stuff like that, like we have MVC. I want to see that back in here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this data folder, which all contains all the things we need for entity frameworks to do its job on the database, and put it into some other folder. All right, so that's folder, I mean project. So let's add a project, a new project, and that is a .NET 5 Core project. Well, actually, if you do this, I found out it just makes it 3.1. You cannot choose that you do 5.1. So this is the uh, uh, data library. So in this data library, we're just going to copy in everything. Now, every project comes with a file already in it. In this case, the class library of the class, I mean a class, an empty class. And I want that out. So now I want this in. So I'm just gonna cut it, cut, take a pair of scissors, cut it out, and then again paste it in here. And there is nothing changed yet, except for that we moved over some files. Now that gives a few little problems. First of all, you already see if I select this, it is .NET Core 3.1, whereas this Blazor is Target Frameworks .NET 5. So you can just copy this out and simply copy it over to the other one, and that will solve your problem like this. Or I'll put it back now. You just do a right mouse click, go to properties, I'll look at over here and say, hey, listen, oh no, I need 5. All right, so you save that, and then when you see the same file, you see, oh well, I could have copied it in as well. It's the same. It's the same. Nothing changed. All right, so that's fixed. So now I need to fix the dependency. Okay, so let's have an add reference and have this library in here as well. So that should fix most of it. But now Entity Frameworks is depending on a couple of packages, NuGet packages. So which packages are these? Well, these packages, let's look at this project again. So you see all these packages over here, 5 packages. That is what it needs. So we can take these 5 packages just out of here. And let's read the whole text so it's same, even the versions are here. So this is the framework tools, server, UI, core, and dynastic identity core. And so I think I'm just gonna take this out. That's the fastest way to do it. You can just uninstall of this and then install it with the package manager, but you can just actually just take this whole group. Control X, yeah. Because I expect some minor changes. Maybe not all the packages should be here. That's a fair possibility. We'll find that out later, okay? So this is done. So now we have something with namespace, because data library, if you go into the properties again, you see that it has a data lib as a default namespace. I like that. Every class should have its own namespace, so it's easy to understand where everything is. So this data lib, I copy this, and then I look at my various files. So let's start with let's make this a little bit bigger, right? So let's start with this migration file. Well, that's actually not referencing anything of this, so we can leave it alone. So let's go to the next one, a snapshot. The snapshot, oh wait, that says, yeah, listen, awesome Blazor is the namespace that I wanted over here. So let's change that again. So to this data lib. So it cannot find the application database context. I'm not surprised, because that one also has some issues. I've got a weather forecast over here. We should move those later. We don't need them for this now. Well, at least we have solved something. So let's build this once and see what other problems we have, because I expect that in the awesome Blazor application we also get some errors. For example, over here, we cannot find. All right. So what is it? You can't find the application database context. Why not? Because it's not there, man. It's in here. Solved. All right. So what else? I've got this one. Data bin lib. Okay, I can leave it for now. Let's build again. Build, rebuild. And we have some more issues. So we can still always solve that by just going in here. That's good. So why am I not changing this? Because this is actually the pages which are in the area. So that's in here. So I don't need to change that. All right. And what is this? The weather forecast. Yeah, we moved that. Okay. You know what? Yeah. So this weather forecast is a service. It should not be in here at all. So let's add another project. Add new project and call this my services. We call another class library. Next, my dot services and my services. My services. Okay, so what service do we want? These two services. Control X and move them over to my services. Control V and delete this class. And we also want to do look at the properties, because it has to be .NET 5. And now, because these services are needed in the starter projects, we need some product reference to that. Now we can actually say, okay, so it is somewhere else. Do we need to reference the my services? Yes. Let's do some more fun, because my references has of course its own namespace called my services. Copy, get it out, and let's do in the weather forecast. We're gonna do that in namespace. Change this namespace to my services, and same for this one, my services. And now we're gonna actually resolve what's wrong in the startup. And we're just gonna say quick refactoring using my services, because we already added the dependency, project over here by the dependencies. And that's okay. So let's build again. A rebuild. I expect some more errors actually. All right, so can't find this. This is the, oh, that comes from the Razor page. All right, I got that. So now we're going to look actually at the Razor page. So it says fetch data and get it from this folder. Well, it's not there, man. It's not there. It's in this project. And if you are in this product and you're in the root, then yeah, automatically resolve. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch it. It resolved itself. So that's good. Let's do another rebuild. So far, so good. So are we feeling confident? Are we ready to just simply start this application? I think we can, but I also think that in these pages over here, in the area of the identity, we might stumble over a few problems as well. We know we're gonna fix those when they are there. So let's start the website. And of course, it starts up in another screen. So let's drag it over. And okay, so the website starts without errors. I don't see any errors. So let's check that again. Here's my error list. Oh, it's empty. All right, so that's good. Right, so the counter, is it still working? Yes, because I didn't do anything with it. Yeah, fetch data. That's the service I moved. Oh, it's properly working. It's there. I go home. Okay. So now I want to see if the whole identity stuff from Entity Framework is still working. So I'm just gonna add my name. I'm gonna type in a password, my super secret password. If you look at my keyboard, you might find out what it is. And let's see if I typed the same password twice. The same, yeah, I guess so, because I'm not giving an error. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so I expected this. So whenever you first publish your website or you start your website, it doesn't have a database. So in this case, locally, there's no database. When I later export it to Azure websites, then I can add a database. But I still need to apply the migration. So I just click on migrations, and if I did everything right, this would go very smooth. It says, okay, apply the migrations, try refreshing the page. I refresh the page, and in the meanwhile, it simply built the database, and it then transported me to this page. Normally I would get an email and it would say, okay, you get this email, click on here to confirm your account. So I did, but that's not set up yet. I didn't set up the email, so it's now shortcut in code. So this works. So now I can log in, or at least I expected I can log in. I haven't seen any errors, so this works pretty good. So you guys are ready for some more fun? Yeah, I think so, right? It was too easy. So let's talk about code organization. So part of the organization is that I put stuff in different assemblies. So there are different projects where I now have one, the database and all the stuff that's in there. And I've got my services. But if I look at the pages, then I see that the counter and the fetch data are also in here. So the more pages I make, the more crap will be in here. Whereas, especially for the login, there's a separate area for the identity. Now, I've been looking at the areas, and if I click on add, I can add an area. But if I do that, I get a window that says, oh, MVC area. Okay, so if you work with ASP.NET, then you probably know MVC and know all of this. This is Razor views, but there's not a Razor area. And an Razor area should make like a structure like this one. This is then the area, and under the area there's a page and then subpages or subfolders. So I need something like that. Well, pages and shared, I think they should be there, or at least this one, pages. So let's make an area with pages. Pages for a certain purpose. So in this case, area, add an area for the service. Okay, new folder, my services, and we add another folder called pages. Right, so we get the fetch data razor, we drag it over here and pop it into this folder. Done. And because of the way addressing works over here, it just looks to a file where this page fetch data is. So if you are in the navigation part of the website, this part, and you look at where it navigates, this is the navigate link. Then it says, okay, we have a header or text fetch data. That's the thing that you click on. But this is where it leads you. And this is the same as what is in over here. Simple as that. I like it a lot. So it should work. Let's just start it again. And I think I did not break anything. It will work out of the box. Well, fetch data. Oh yeah, it's still working. Good. That would work with the counter as well. So I can remove the counter page as well. And I have a lot of like ideas of what I can do with the counter. We're gonna do an improved counter. So we're gonna play with the C# code, okay? See how the C# and the HTML work and mix, and how that functions, including dependency injection. Right. So first thing to do is get another area, add, and then no, don't click area, just click folder, name the area counter, my counter. Don't forget that if you have too much the same names, you can have a lot of trouble with the naming. So try always to give some unique identifier or text, so you can keep things apart. So this is the my counter, this is the pages area. Pages. So again, it will not break anything if I just drag out, or if you don't want to drag out, just go click and go to a cut. I like this. The cut is actually a better way to do it, because if you move it to a different project, then dragging just will copy it instead of paste it, cut it and paste it. So cut it now, make that something in your system, and then paste it. Of course, you can use Control X and Control V if that is more your thing. So just go in here, get your keyboard, Control X and Control V. Counter is over here, gone over here. Right. Also, this would not break anything. Now, what I like is that if you open these counter pages, it actually adds up a number every time you click a button. Show you the real thing. Counter, click, 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 and we get this number. One higher, 6, 7, 8, 9, click, 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 and we are already 13. My lucky number. Right, so we've done that. now we like to have this logic stored somewhere else. And I also like to make it a bit more challenging. I also like to do it with dependency injection into this class. Oh boy. Let's first add a library, the counter library. So right mouse click, add new project, a class library. Next, my counter. Oh, counter library. I was just going to call it, right? Counter library. Lib. Right, create. And let's get rid of the class 1. So that's this one. Let's make sure it is .NET 5. Properties 5. Yes. And let's make sure that it is referenced by ASM Blazor. So add the project reference. Yes. And now we can build our own super duper class over here, super counter. So let's do a add class super counter. Right, super counter made. Add. That must be a public. Now let's make it first simple. Okay, we're going to steal some code. So we have this count already over here with this code. Well, this part, the add code and then this curly braces thing, that actually is just making sure that in the file, the razor file, the counter razor file, this is read as being code, like a class, right? So we can remove that, and then it doesn't work. It's broken. See, broken. Red squirrely lines. So we're gonna cut this out and place it into the super counter. Now this is the base for our code. So what does it do? Every time you click a button, it calls this method and it adds 1 to current counter. Well, as we are going to do this into an interface, we're going to make an interface super counter, and that's going to be with the class, of course, into a dependency injector. All right, so in an EOC container. So let's make sure that this super counter is a interface, has an interface. So we're going to generate a constructor. No, we want to have an interface. Why can I choose it yet? Because there's no publics in here. So let's make this a public. And let's make, oh, another typo. Public with a capital. Right, let's make this a small letter. And now I don't want to only add up, I also want to subtract. So let's say minus, okay? And this is plus count. Easy names, plus count. Plus counts adds 1. This needs to subtract 1. This is simply C# code. So follow some other course if you don't know what this plus and this means. This actually just means 1. Add 1. Subtract 1. Minus 1. Okay, so I learned that bad habit. This should be a capital. And this should have a, oh, and of course then I change this, then I have to change this as well. There's a better way to do this, by the way, but never mind. And this needs to have a getter and a setter. If you don't do that, then when you automatically generate an interface, it will not show up. So get set. And then is null. This simply means like whenever this class is initialized, make sure that this has the value 1. So this is actually just like ctor and then current count. is 0. This is just the same. I'll leave it for now like this, but you could actually just leave it like that with the is 0. All right, that done. This class is actually done, except for the interface. All right, so let's go and now extract the interface. The interface has 3 items. Select all, yes. So now I look at this over here and it says, yes, I got an interface over here. So if you have an interface and your interface needs to be injected, then it needs to be in the IOC container. And that is actually all the way here in the ASM Blazor. There is a startup class, and in the startup class, you can actually do that. So we have we copy this. Remember the weather forecast server that also is in here is injected. So we now like to have a I super counter. Now the super counter needs to be resolved. So control dot or just a right mouse click and then say user library edit. And every time you ask for a super counter, then get me a new. No, it's not going to be new because it's a singleton. So, but I need to have a new super counter in here. So whenever you need a super counter, an I super counter, get this a super counter because a singleton, it only will be constructed once and you get the same super counter all the time. That's great because then when you add in one page a number, that same number will show up another page or a partial page. It's the same. You can share that number over the various pages, whatever it ever changing. Whew, great. There's a bit more to say about that, but I'll leave that for some other day or some other guy. Right, so are we ready now to change this counter rager page? Because it has still errors, right? So first of all, it needs to understand that the class that we're going to use is in a different library. So we do an add using, and using is something that you recognize from a normal C# class, do WP or what is it, UWP, WPF, yeah, that was the other one. Using, so that is in the counter lib, which is of course recognized because we already referenced it. But the class that we need, that needs to be injected. So that is actually coming from the IOC container. So inject, this is actually like resolve. Inject I super counter. Right. So what do we name this thingy? We're gonna do this just, we call it the super counter. Why not? It has the same name as the class, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. If you don't like that, then you said then just simply say my super counter if you like that. It's fine. So now I've got my super counter, but it didn't resolve my current count. Why not? Because it needs to be like this. And now you see that I changed the capital current count, so I need to this one. So actually I only needed to have a capital letter over there. So this part is fixed. Now I need to do the same with the next part. This is over here. So super count, and I had a plus count. Yay! We'll also have a minus count, so I'm just going to copy this button. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it in front of this. And actually, I'm going to now tell this is minus. So now I've got a button with plus and minus. And I've got my current, oh, I don't like this actually. I'm going to take this out again. Control X, I'm going to put it in front. And I'm going to say, you know what? Super count needs to be in between the two buttons. But that of course is ugly. So it needs to be have some formatting. So let's say it has a label. Label. So put it in a label. And then you can actually format this label with some what is it called? Bootstrap. So Bootstrap class. So I have that somewhere over here stored. Let's copy that in. I like that a little bit more than typing it because it's not my thing. So let's go to the old code that I prepared first to learn this. And I go to pages, areas, counter page, and I had this. So this button now is going to be looking a little bit more fancy because I add this, and I'm going to do the same with this button over here. Yes, and I'm going to also do that with the label to make it a bit more aligned and sized. Yes. And now one more thing, because if you look at this code, it says click me. I don't like that. I like a little icon. So I'm again looking at Bootstrap, and instead of a text, I'm going to have a minus sign over here. So if you and I need to of course close that span. And then I'm going to copy it again because I know what the code is for the plus sign. That's simply plus instead of minus. Wow. So although let me make this a little smaller and let's have a look at it. It looks ugly. I didn't line it up properly. It's not in a div or whatever. But I'm not an HTML guy, so I'll let you mess around with this. I can do a div. I can do that. I would like to have like a border around this or something. So I need some more stringing. But what I'm really interested in is, does this work? Does this work? I guess so. Let's try. So that means that the page that we're going to look at of the counter is going to be slightly different. Here's my counter. Oh, yes, I got two buttons. Oh, sorry, I was so excited I was in the wrong. So I clicked on here and I was like, yes, I got it. So now when I do plus one, plus, minus, works like a charm. Even goes minus. So I hope you enjoyed this and you can see how you can split out your whole project into different assemblies and get things really organized and funny and beautiful and good. See you around. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, do subscribe.